Short history of video games.
Welcome to this video on the history of video games. Video games have come a long way from their early beginnings to the complex, immersive experiences we enjoy today. This video will take you through the major milestones in the history of video games, covering everything from the first basic games to the technological advancements that have shaped the industry as we know it.
The birth of video games, 1950s, 1960s. The concept of video games started as early as the 1950s. At this time, computers were primarily used for scientific research, but a few pioneers saw their potential for entertainment. One of the earliest examples of a video game was created in 1952 by a British professor named A.S. Douglas. He developed a game of tic-tac-toe called OXO on the EDSAC computer. It was a simple game, but it marked the first use of a computer for interactive entertainment. In 1958, another significant moment came when William Higginbotham, an American physicist, created a game called Tennis for Two to entertain visitors at Brookhaven National Laboratory. It was displayed on an oscilloscope screen and allowed two players to hit a ball back and forth, resembling a simple tennis game. The 1970s. The arcade era begins. The 1970s saw the birth of what we now recognize as the video game industry. In 1972, Pong was released by Atari, a company founded by Nolan Bushnell. Pong was one of the first commercially successful video games and became a massive hit in arcades. It was a simple game where players bounced a ball back and forth, but its popularity marked the beginning of the arcade era. Around the same time, other early arcade games like Space War and Computer Space also gained popularity. However, it was Pong that really caught the public's attention and made people realize that video games could be a major form of entertainment. The 1970s also saw the creation of the first home console systems. The Magnavox Odyssey, released in 1972, was the first home video game console. It allowed players to play games on their TV screens for the first time, though the games were very basic. The 1980s, the golden age of arcade games. The 1980s is often considered the golden age of video games, particularly for arcade games. During this time, many iconic games were released, and arcades became incredibly popular worldwide. Some of the most memorable titles from this era include Pac-Man, 1980. Developed by Namco, Pac-Man became a cultural phenomenon. Players controlled a small yellow character as it navigated a maze, eating pellets while avoiding ghosts. Donkey Kong, 1981. Created by Nintendo, this game introduced the world to Mario, initially called Jumpman, and Donkey Kong. Players had to jump over barrels and climb ladders to save the princess. Space Invaders, 1978. While released in the late 70s, this game remained popular throughout the 80s. It involved shooting rows of descending aliens, and it became one of the most influential games of all time. Galaga, 1981. Another popular shooter game, where players controlled a spaceship and fought off waves of enemy aliens. At the same time, home consoles started becoming more sophisticated. The Atari 2600, released in 1977, was one of the most popular consoles of the early 80s. It allowed players to play arcade-style games at home, contributing to the rise of the home video game market. The video game crash of 1983. Despite the success of video games in the early 80s, the industry faced a major crisis in 1983. The market became oversaturated with low-quality games, and consumers started losing interest. One of the most infamous examples was the game E.T. the Extraterrestrial for the Atari 2600, which was rushed to market and widely considered a failure. As a result, many video game companies went out of business, and the future of the industry seemed uncertain. This period, known as the video game crash of 1983, caused a significant decline in sales and interest in video games, particularly in North America. The revival, Nintendo and Sega, mid-1980s to 1990s. The video game industry was revived in the mid-1980s, thanks in large part to the success of the Nintendo Entertainment System, NES. Released in 1985, the NES became hugely popular and helped re-establish video games as a major form of entertainment. Nintendo's strategy of marketing the NES as an entertainment system rather than just a toy helped set it apart. Nintendo introduced iconic franchises during this time, including Super Mario Bros. 1985, one of the most famous video games of all time, where players controlled Mario as he navigated levels to save Princess Peach from Bowser. The Legend of Zelda, 1986, a groundbreaking action-adventure game with an open-world feel, allowing players to explore and solve puzzles. Metroid in 1986, another popular game known for its non-linear exploration and atmospheric world. Sega also became a significant player in the industry with the release of the Sega Genesis in 1988, 1991 in North America. Sega's marketing campaigns emphasized the Genesis's superior graphics and processing power. This led to a fierce rivalry between Nintendo and Sega, often referred to as the Console Wars. During this time, Sega introduced their own mascot, Sonic the Hedgehog, in 1991, who became a strong competitor to Mario. The 3D revolution, late 1990s to early 2000s. The late 1990s marked a shift from 2D graphics to 3D, transforming how video games looked and played. Two major consoles defined this era: Sony PlayStation. 1994, Sony entered the gaming industry with the PlayStation, which became one of the best-selling consoles of all time. It featured games with rich 3D environments such as Final Fantasy VII, 1997, and Metal Gear Solid, 1998. Nintendo 64, 1996. Nintendo's new console also focused on 3D graphics. Games like Super Mario 64 4, 1996, and The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, 1998, became revolutionary in how they used 3D space. During this time, the gaming industry continued to grow, and the quality of games improved with advancements in technology. Chakasor, the online era, 2000s to present. The 2000s brought another major development: online gaming. With faster internet speeds, players could now compete and collaborate with others across the globe. Some key moments in online gaming include Xbox Live, 2002. Microsoft introduced Xbox Live, allowing players to connect with each other for multiplayer games. It became a major feature for consoles, especially in games like Halo 2, 2004. World of Warcraft, 2004. This massive multiplayer online role-playing game, MMORPG, became a global phenomenon, with millions of players adventuring together in a vast online world. Call of Duty: Modern Warfare, 2007. The Call of Duty series helped define online first-person shooters, creating intense multiplayer experiences. In addition to online gaming, the 2000s saw the rise of mobile gaming with the introduction of smartphones. Games like Angry Birds, 2009, and Candy Crush, 2012, became immensely popular, showing that gaming could reach casual audiences beyond traditional consoles and PCs. The modern era, virtual reality and cloud gaming. Today, video games continue to evolve. Virtual reality, VR, has opened up new possibilities for immersive experiences, with systems like the Oculus Rift and PlayStation VR bringing players into entirely new worlds. Cloud gaming services like Google Stadia and Xbox Cloud Gaming are also emerging, allowing players to stream games without needing powerful hardware at home. The video game industry has become a massive part of global entertainment, with professional esports leagues, live streaming platforms like Twitch, and a dedicated gaming culture. Conclusion. The history of video games is a fascinating journey of innovation, creativity, and technological advancement. From simple arcade games like Pong to complex, immersive virtual reality experiences, video games have become an essential part of our entertainment landscape. Thanks for watching this video on the history of video games. We hope you've enjoyed learning about the evolution of this exciting medium. Be sure to stay tuned for more videos on interesting topics from the world of history, technology, and beyond.